Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Street Smart Business TV. Now today I've got some very important information that I've got to share with you. Well, look, every episode I share with you is very important, but this one is the big one. This is where the money hides. And I'm going to be perfectly blunt with you. What I'm about to share with you may make you feel pretty uncomfortable, but I can't help it because you see, I want to share with you the way that I've made millions and millions and millions of dollars, tens upon tens of millions of dollars in my companies, and how I've helped others make tens upon tens of millions of dollars in their companies, and that is becoming a master of sales and marketing. Now I know you've got your accountants out there and your lawyers and your doctors and all these other individuals out there that say, well, you know what, I'm really good in my business, I don't like sales and marketing. Well, I can't help that. The reality is if no one knows you exist, or if you don't give them a reason to come and see you, then guess what? You may be the best bloody doctor on the planet. You may be able to make a motor car get 200 miles per gallon. We don't really care because nobody knows and you're the best kept secret on the planet. Now, let me give you an example. How many people do you know that, to be quite honest, they're not that intelligent. In fact, they're pretty thick. And you might be spectacular at your job. And let me come back to home and let's just say an electrician, okay? You might be a bloody good tradesman, one of the best. And yet you see some other guy out there that's got his nice new vans and he seems to be flying high and he's got his beautiful home, seems to have all that success happening. Why is it that that guy is so much more successful than you are? Even though you're a far better tradesman or a far better doctor or a far better lawyer, why is it this other guy's more successful? Well, quite simply, ladies and gentlemen, it's because they understand something that you may not right now, and that is that the money is in the marketing. Because they simply are getting better clients, paying them more money, more often, and you're not. So what are you going to do about it? Because no one else is going to come here and go, oh, there, Johnny, you haven't got enough business here. Here's a gift for you. You see, the truth is it's up to you. I've personally spent about $500,000 on my skills, on my knowledge, so that I can learn to be as good as I can be. I've then made tens upon tens of millions of dollars by having those skills that I've learned, and I've helped many others do the same thing. It's taken me time and effort to learn these things, and you know what? The number one lesson I learned from out of all of this knowledge that I invested in myself was that you must have the number one skill of sales and marketing. There is no other skill. Without having a sale and without letting people know that you exist, you don't have a business. You may not like this. Well, I do apologise, but the sad reality is that if you want to resist this and you hate the idea of marketing your business out there to the world and telling them how good you are, your competitor's going to do it. And when your competitor does it, they get your client instead of you. And when they get your client, they take the money from your client, they put that into more marketing, which steals more clients off you, which then means your business starts to deteriorate in a big way. We don't want to see that happen. So guys, put the effort into sales and marketing. Remember, that is the number one skill in business. Now, yes, I'm not saying you have a shitty product, you've got to then deliver on your promises, because once you break trust with your clients, once you break trust with those people that know you, you don't have a business. Trust is a massive commodity in today's day and age because there's so many people who lie, steal and cheat. But the number one thing you must do is get them to know who you are first and have the chance to shine. So please remember that. I don't care what occupation you have, what skill you have, you must realise that you need to be the marketing expert of that business, and then let that business do what it has to do. Let that business deliver on what it has to do, but you are the marketing and sales expert for that business, and that's when your business is going to go where you want it to go. Now, here's my take on it. They did a survey not that long ago for some of the bottom companies in the share market to see why they were down the bottom of the market. And you know what? They did this research time in motion on them, and they watched everything that they did. And before they did it, they also asked them a very important question. They said, guys, how important do you think sales and marketing is to your business? Well, they all said, oh, it's the number one thing. Without sales and marketing, our businesses won't succeed. Oh, okay. So then they just followed them around. They just observed, they monitored, they watched everything that they did, and they monitored them for a month. And after they did that with all of these bottom 100 companies, they researched how much time they actually spent on sales and marketing. And guess what the answer is? It's going to shock you. 11%. That's all the time they spent on actual sales and marketing was 11% of their time. And it's pretty obvious then why they're down at the bottom of the share market instead of up at the top. Here's my take on it. Guys, I spend 70% of my time on sales and marketing. 70%. 20% of my time on delivery, making sure we keep our promises and make sure we do outstanding value for our clients, and about 10% on administration. I'd like you to consider that yourself. If you're spending most of your time doing other things apart from sales and marketing, maybe have a look at reconfiguring, guys, because it's going to make a world of difference to your business. Now, I'm going to be interviewing a friend of mine that I've known for a very long time. And the reason why I want to interview him is because, quite honestly, he saved my friends literally millions of dollars. Mainly because of the knowledge that he has got, he's managed to ensure that they minimise their tax effectively from a legal perspective, of course, and also make sure that they protected their assets. And what he's accomplished for my friends is truly amazing. So I had to have him on this call. Now, this gentleman, he's worked with his client list is really a who's who of the rich and famous. So he rubs shoulders with some of the best known names that you would see in celebrity world, right down to small business owners doing $500,000 per annum. And the reason they come and they seek his advice is, quite frankly, because he knows what he's doing. Well, let's start with the privacy laws, Warren. So, once again, those of you that aren't aware of this, the government decided in their wisdom that people should not be communicated with unless certain criteria are made. Now, in business, we used to be pretty safe if we're communicating business to business, because the government figured, well, if you're in business, then you've got a fair bit of knowledge and savvy about you. But even that's changed to a certain degree now. So Warren, can you just give us some guidelines of things that we need to be careful of as business owners, holding data on our clients as to the right and wrong things that we should be doing with that?
Sure, Ian. Look, I just recently did a privacy webinar for about 90 minutes just explaining the laws, so I'm going to see if I can encapsulate in about two minutes what I said there. But basically, one thing you're right about in terms of the business to business and business to consumer, generally business to business was always pretty safe. The do not call register, for example, which is out, which now says that if you have people on a do not call register, you're not supposed to call them, and it's supposed to be databases checked pretty regularly. The privacy are designed to pretty much ensure that you meet certain standards, and like most government laws, they've just gone over the top. Now, one good piece of news of the privacy laws is that if your business turns over less than 3 million, they probably won't apply to you. Now, I say probably because there are a number of exceptions, probably the most pertinent being certain natural health businesses, which they apply regardless of your turnover. Another one is if you buy or use that, you Ian, gave me your list for Street Smart and I marketed to them. In that situation, the privacy laws do apply to me. However, the good news is, from what I can read of the legislation, although there's still some grey areas and it's not 100% clear, let's say that I went to Street Smart and you emailed all of the Street Smart clients and, you know, did some marketing to do something about me, but you control the process and you keep the list, then there's no real issue there because I'm not marketing to the list as such. You are, and they are your list. But probably a few things I will mention which nevertheless are showing government policy on certain things. Number one is a privacy policy. Regardless of whether you are 3 million above or under, I say it's critical to have a privacy because of there is a greater emphasis on it. There still are certain privacy principles applying to a business regardless of turnover. So privacy policy is definitely something to have. Now, mind you, the legislation and the privacy laws actually state exactly what your privacy policy should say. So the good news is you can pretty much gauge from the legislation. There's about 5 or 6 items that you're supposed to tell people, like about how you hold their information, what you do with it, all that kind of stuff. A few other things I'll just quickly mention on that is direct marketing to lists. You've got to be very careful of that now if you fall within the privacy laws, in that the customers must reasonably expect to be marketed, and if they're not, then there's other laws applying to them. What this means now, these new direct marketing laws, is that you've pretty much got to give not only an opt-in, but a very clear opt-in or opt-out. You've got to clearly pretty much say in big bold letters, depending on whether they reasonably expect you to market or not, they can opt out. So as well as the spam legislation now, you must also consider that.
No, that's amazing. There are so many things. This game of Monopoly is a pretty tricky game, Warren. One wrong move and you're dead, aren't you?
Absolutely
So,
correct, yeah. Why do you think I do it?
yeah. So, Warren, now I know that you do help people, not so much from the legal perspective anymore. You mainly focus on giving tax advice, estate planning, and you know, your key areas are in asset protection as well. I told you before you came on here that our clients, a lot of them, you know, generally most of our members are doing anywhere between $1 million and $80 million in turnover, and they need the advice, the right guidance. So I asked you if you could do something special for our members, buddy. How did you go with that? Did you manage to pull anything together for me?
Well, I did, Ian, and I've gone over and above what you've asked. We've actually got a special link on our website, which is Wealth Safe, which is wealth as in building wealth, and then safe as in S for Sam, A for Andrew, F for Fred, E for Edward. So www.wealthsafe.com.au, and then /Street Smart Gift. So wealthsafe.com.au /Street Smart Gift. And on that one, I'm actually giving away 4 books, including 3 of them which I normally sell. And on top of that, we're also giving a free review to Street Smart members upon completion of a fact finder on the link which is filled out on the page for 30 minutes, completely free, no obligation, no strings attached, to say whether you're exposed or not and whether you need to do something about it. And again, I've stressed no obligation, that one, which means you can go back to your accountant and implement it or talk to us further.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Q&A again. So what we want is for you guys to put your questions into us at the end of each episode, and I'm here to help with any challenges that you have. So who have we got this time, Michael? Oh, how about I put it up the right way? Alright, David Giles. We supply sports, strapping tape, bandages and trainers supplies to local footy clubs. And getting the clubs to change from their current supply to us is our main problem. We provide 110% money back, absolutely unconditional guarantee, as well as visit clubs frequently, but still have a tough time getting them to switch. Okay, David, well, good bloody question. Okay, here's the thing. Firstly, I want you to be thinking about what the footy club's problems are. Rather than you going in there trying to sell your strapping, how about think of the footy club's needs, what their wants, their needs, their fears, their desires are. When you then think about what their challenges are, you're going to be able to come up with a lot better value proposition for them when you show your services to them. Now, on top of that, mate, there's nothing better than an ethical bribe. So what are you willing to do to buy a client? Work out what the lifetime value of that client is to you, and then simply say to them, what if I give you this, you try the product, no pressure on it. If you're not absolutely thrilled, just simply hand it back, but we believe in this product so much that we know you're going to love it. So guys, I think that helps. Let me know how you go too, David. Don't be shy. Just tell us how you go when you implement this idea. Alright guys, till next time, make sure you fill your questions in there and we'll talk to you soon.